Good morning. This is the Brooklyn Knitfolk podcast, episode 22, I think. 22. My name is Jacqueline. You can find me on Instagram, Ravelry, Pinterest, basically everywhere as @JacquelineSalem. Show notes for this podcast can be found on the Brooklyn Knitfolk Ravelry group. And if you want to get in touch with me, I'd say the best way to do that is probably through Instagram or email brooklynknitfolk@gmail.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're a new viewer, hello, I hope you enjoy the show. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back and watching the podcast. This week I wanted to give a special warm welcome to Noob Knitter 11, Sasha Holub, Shirette, Penny Gale, Ketavern, Wild Rice, Laura Always Knits, and also to 3 people who introduced themselves who have amazing podcasts. I just wanted to call those out. Vegan Jilly, who is Jilly and hosts the Knitting Broomstick podcast, a really high energy, fun podcast. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of her, but if you haven't, it's a really great one. Romperlust, who is Sarah, who hosts the Make Things Club. If you like sassy 20-somethings, maybe 30, I don't know, but I'm guessing sassy late 20-somethings, Canadian. I really appreciate her commitment to knitting with Canadian yarn, Canadian patterns, like really supporting her country's makes, if you will. And I really appreciate how she gives her honest opinion about things. I really love Sarah and the Make Things Club, so that's a really great podcast to check out. And last but certainly not least, C. Gallagher 21, who is Claire, and she hosts the Tiger Knits podcast. She lives in the UK. Her aesthetic is gorgeous, lots of neutrals, goodness. It's right up my alley, and it's just a very a soft-spoken and relaxing podcast to watch. So if that's your thing, you should check out Tiger Knits. And I'm not sure as far as the Tiger Knits podcast goes, I will put on the screen somewhere exactly how to look it up, but I don't think you find it as Tiger Knits on YouTube. So I'll make sure to confirm this on the screen for you here. So welcome to all viewers and people who message me. I love hearing from you guys, so please introduce yourselves in the Ravelry group. We're currently underway with a knit along as well, which is the Elemental Along. And I guess while I'm talking about that real quick, I'll go ahead and just get into that. We just entered month 2 of this knit along. It goes through the end of October 31st. Plenty of time to cast on a project. It's inspired by the Sweep series by Kate Tiernan, but you are not required to have read those books. If you like one of the patterns, knit it, but the idea is to knit something that makes you feel powerful. So you pick a pattern based on something that represents you, or a pattern that represents something that you need more of in your life. I have 8 patterns for you to choose from: 2 fire patterns, 2 water patterns, 2 air patterns, and 2 earth patterns, varying ranges of difficulty and size and etc. So I hope you find something that you love. There have been a lot of fleece and sea hats, which is great. I think that hat pattern is gorgeous. I mean, obviously I chose the pattern, so I love all of them, but yeah, so I hope you'll join us. There's still plenty of time to cast on a project, and there are some amazing prizes, which I'm going to show you a few more that came in today. Oh, and by the way, I'm in a new setup now. So it turns out, for those of you who are new to this podcast, I thought I was going to have to move, and now I don't have to. And I'm so excited because the stress of moving in New York City is unbelievable, honestly. The real estate and housing market here is crazy. Essentially, you have to wait for a place to vacate and then compete with 20 other people. Not an exaggeration. It's do you have, I'm so-and-so, and I love this, and I love that, and my interests are blah, blah. It's like dating. You have to try to find somebody who, fits your style and like convince them essentially to let you live in their apartment as their new roommate. So it's a really stressful situation, and I'm just glad that I don't have to move anymore. Thank you so much for all the well wishes for people who wished me well on the move, but now I don't have to. But in order to make my current place work, I knew I had to get a desk situation set up in here, which I did, and that's where I am now. I'm in my bedroom. I have an awesome desk setup. So I'm going to try to take a few clips of that and insert it into the beginning, so now you've probably already seen it, but I'm really excited. And I have this awesome brick wall in my bedroom, so why not use that as my new background, right? Anyway, some amazing prizes for the Elemental Long. I'm going to show you the new ones that came in the past couple weeks. There's a whole comprehensive list in the finished objects thread in Ravelry if you want to kind of check out what's available. I'm sorry if you can hear my crazy cats. I have two black tuxedo cats. Okay, kitties, that is not going to work. Sorry. A comprehensive list in Ravelry of all the prizes, but here are the new ones. So this amazing skein of yarn, which was naturally dyed by Rachel. She has an Etsy shop called Everlasting You, and all of her yarns are naturally dyed. And it says in here what it was dyed with on this tag, but I can't take it out without ruining her packaging. So I'll let the winner read all about that. But isn't this just beautiful? I love it. The yarn is so soft and squishy. It's a fingering weight yarn, and that'll be another prize for the Elemental Long. Another one that came in, have you guys heard of Knox Yarn Co? Because if you haven't, run to Etsy right now. She's one of my favorite indie dyers, and this skein of yarn in particular is like top 5 status favorite colorways of all time, for sure. And this is the Fog colorway. Again, Yarn Co. And this one's on her Stellina base, which I'm not sure if you can see or not, because Stellina is so hard to photograph or video, but yeah, amazing. So this is a prize for a lucky viewer. She also sent these incredible stitch markers. Maybe they're progress keepers, actually, I can't remember. Let's see. Yeah, they can be both. So these crystal progress keepers, which are perfect for the theme of the Elemental Long. The book's about a girl who discovers she's a witch, by the way. So these are amazing. Thank you so much for sending these, Diane. I love your yarn. I'm obsessed. Yarn Co. Go check it out. So those will be another prize. Next up, if you watch A Homespun House with Molly, you will have seen Molly's recent episode. She raved, and for good reason, about Ovis Etc. German dyer who doesn't use natural dyes, but she uses non-superwash wool. And her color sense is insane, you guys. Let me show you what I mean. So I got this package in the mail. She asked me what color combination I would like because she sent one, which was so generous. Thank you, Saskia. Saskia is the brilliant dyer behind Ovis Etc. This is the one she sent for me. I said lavender, chartreuse, and a gray. Look at this. Isn't this amazing? Thank you so much, Saskia. And for you guys, she sent this kit. Oh, I should mention, sorry, it's for a specific sock pattern. So these were dyed up for, I think they're called Aztec. I can't remember the name for sure. It'll be in the show notes, but it's for a specific sock pattern, a colorwork sock pattern. But even if you don't want to knit colorwork socks, these are very generous skeins of yarn. Let me see if I can find the exact amount on here. 40 grams each, or maybe that's a 70. I think it's 40, yeah. Yeah, 70, that would be outrageous. 40 grams each of this yarn. And so you could definitely find another project if you didn't want to knit these specific socks, but they're made to go with the Aztec socks. And this is the one for you guys. Look at this gorgeous black and white this kind of orangey brown, and then a tan. This is the perfect autumn color combination. It's beautiful. So again, that's Ovis Etc. I love her packaging too. Isn't this so cute? So profesh. And there's also some tea in the bottom of this that she sent along with it for the winter. So yeah, these yarns are just, they feel so nice. It's not like super soft like merino is necessarily, but it's got like, it's one of those woolier kinds of wools, but it's wonderful. Those are gonna make an absolutely gorgeous pair of socks. So that's another prize for the Elemental Longs. This is again Ovis Etc. Saskia's beautiful creations. And actually, while we're on the subject of people who donate prizes, Katrina from the Yarn 30 podcast and the Dyer Behind Cat's Kettle mentioned on hers, and I think it's like spot on true. I am so, so, so grateful for everything that you guys want to send to give away on the podcast, but again, please do not feel like you have to send something for me. I love it, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely not necessary. You don't have to do that. I'm happy to give away your amazing creations on the podcast. So I just wanted to put that out there. I am, again, super grateful. I'm not complaining, but just saying that you are not under any obligation or requirement to send me anything like that, so don't feel like you have to. And I think that is it for the prizes that I've acquired this week. I think. I'm pretty sure. So really quick, I'll just kind of go over what I'm wearing, because now I can say things like that since I've acquired quite a collection now of hand knit items. This is my Sirma shawl. It's knit out of Woolen Vine yarns in her Gashly Crumb colorway, which is probably my favorite colorway of Kristen's. Again, one of those top 5 favorite colorways of all time. It's the Sirma shawl, and I can't pronounce her name, it's French, but it's something like Calo Bérangère. I can't really say that I recommend the pattern. I'm glad that I have this shawl and I like it, but it wasn't really an enjoyable knit, I must say. There weren't any row counts at the end of, for long stretches, not any row counts. So I would frequently, it was causing some problems because you had to be on with your stitch count because of this texture, otherwise it wouldn't fall in the right places. So with a few adjustments, I think the pattern could be better, but either way, I'm still in love with the shawl, and I'm really glad that I have it. It's one of my favorites. This is the only one that I really keep at home. The other ones I all keep at my office, so I end up using those there, and my coworkers and I share all of them. So that's what I'm wearing today. So I guess now we'll move into, well, it's not really a finished object, unfortunately. It's so close. So close. So, a pair of socks. So this one is completely finished. This is just a vanilla sock pattern, the first vanilla sock pattern that I've ever knit, by the way. And it's knit in Cat's Kettle yarns in the Reptile House colorway. Isn't this so cool? And contrasting heels and toes in this right here, Plucky Knitter Primo Fingering Base. It's an MCN, and the colorway is called Ogre. It's this amazing chartreusey green. It's looking really yellow because of the light coming in from this window, so that lighting is kind of a bummer. Hopefully I can resolve that in the future, but love this. So this is what it looks like, and this one is so close, but I was trying to use up a mini I had wound off for a different project. I used this Plucky Knitter in my Dotted Rays shawl, and I thought I had enough to do the heels and toes for these. I'm just too short, so I need to get some more of that and finish up this toe. But I'm so close to finishing these. These are going to be a gift. Ooh, here. These are going to be a gift, and I think the recipient is going to love them, hopefully. So really excited about that. Vanilla socks, I probably won't knit, well, I won't say, never say never, but I'm definitely prefer patterned sock patterns to vanilla socks, just because they're not much more difficult, and I knit my socks concurrently on 2 different 9-inch circular needles. Love 9-inch circular needles. But the problem is that keeping track of how much I've knit is like kind of annoying because I have to like go through and count all my rows because I want them to, you know, be the same. And unfortunately this one I think is about 4 rows shorter than this one. I haven't counted, but when I was holding them up, I thought I had it on, but I must have miscounted somewhere. But the good thing about knitting textured patterns, or, you know, sending kind of like, send anything that has something you can easily count, is you can count the repeats and then you know for sure how much you have knit on a sock. So I don't really see myself knitting much vanilla socks in the future. It was a really quick knit, I will say, but I mean, it doesn't really take that much longer to do a pattern. So in the future, I'll probably just stick to pattern socks to make it easier to count my rows. Maybe not for self-striping yarn though. I don't know. See, I'm already breaking my own rules. There's got to be an easier way. I'm sure I can keep track with stitch markers every few rows or something like that. But I am really pleased with how these turned out. I love the colorway. Again, I'm just love most of what Katrina does. She does gorgeous yarns. Sells out really fast now. But perks of being BFFs with hers. I can tell her to hold some for me. Shh. This is what I have left over. I did put a call out on Instagram. I asked just kind of like a general peanut gallery question, like how much does each, you know, how much does a heel take for yarn? How much does toes? As I'm trying to avoid having so much yarn left over, and I am getting better and better about that. Of course, Mina Phillip, who is the Knitting Expat podcast, she is sock knitting queen, and she had tons of really helpful information. She knits about 75 to 100 rows for the leg portion of it. And that's been really helpful because I really like a long sock myself, so it's helped me use up a lot more yarn. So this will make a few decent minis to give away, and I can knit some into my Cozy Memories blanket. But yarn management has been really great. So for a lot of people who are wondering also on that thread, like are interested to hear, 75 to 100 rows for the legs of your socks will make sure that you're using up as much yarn as possible. It's really easy if you're doing toe up because then you can just knit until you're done and have no, you know, chance of running out. But I like knitting my socks cuffed down, so I'm never really 100% sure how much yarn I can get away with using without running out. Clearly I can knit, you know, till the cows come home. I have a lot still left over, but it's better than it was before when I could probably knit another pair of socks out of what I had left over. Now we're going to move on to the Spoolish Games segment of the podcast. This is where I talk about sewing projects that I'm working on and, yeah, sewing stuff. So I am interested in the idea. I want to get your guys' opinions on what you think. But doing kind of like a sew-along for a quilt, this is going to be a very basic sew-along, and it's not even 100% sure. I kind of just want to gauge interest, and it's going to be for very newbie sewists. Definitely not a complicated pattern. We're talking like a patchwork quilt. So if you're like really into quilting and master, this is going to be very easy. Well, you're welcome to participate. Anyway, what I'm trying to say here is just gauging interest for a quilt along where I'll do like short videos on techniques and how to like kind of just step A through Z of making a quilt. So if anyone is interested in that, please comment on the episode thread for this episode and Ravelry, or on the doobly-doo, as people call, down below. So let me know if you're interested in a little sew-along for a quilt. So I have acquired, sort of an acquisition, but I'll put it in whips just because that's what we're talking about now. Oh my gosh, words are evading me right now. What is this called again? Batting. Cotton batting for a quilt that I am working on. With batting, by the way, you always want to make sure it's worth the extra $5 to $10, maybe sometimes more than that, but it's worth it to get the 100% cotton batting. Don't go for those, you know, like kind of cheap polyfill ones. These will keep you so much warmer. This will last longer. It will keep your quilts nicer longer. So definitely always go for the 100% cotton battings over the synthetic materials. And this is the quilt, which I have shown on previous episodes, but for new viewers. So my grandmother started this quilt. She did all of the embroidery on these blocks. And then she just gave me all of the, she gave me all the blocks that were finished, and then she gave me all the fabric separately. This was not pieced together. So far I have pieced together the entire top. It's a twin size. And this fabric is the backing fabric. I love this fabric. I think it's so cute. So now that I have the backing and the top and I have a batting, it's time to start getting quilting on it. So I'm excited. I'll keep you updated on how that goes. I would really like to have this finished. I don't know if, I'm sure I could get it done before Thanksgiving if I prioritize that over other projects, but I would definitely like to have it finished at least by Christmas, just so I can, next time I go to visit my family in Tennessee, which go Vols, by the way, we had an awesome win over Georgia this previous weekend. I'd like to have this quilt finished before Christmas just so I can bring it back home to show her when it's done. So I'm sure she'll be really pleased to see it. So that's the quilt project. Next up, I haven't sewn any new squares for my Cozy Memories blanket, but I have sewn quite a few that were just kind of sitting around to the blanket itself. So I just thought I'd show you like a little progress of how it's looking right now. This is a pattern that I saw a picture of something similar on Pinterest, but there was no pattern written for it, so I wrote one up. It's on Ravelry. It's called the Brooklyn Knitfolk Log Cabin Blanket free pattern for anyone who wants to use it. And it's modular, so you knit each of these kind of like squares separately and then seam it to the full blanket. It's so exciting how it's turning out. I'm really, really loving it. Yay! So I thought I'd just show you that while shawls are falling off. Shawls are falling off. Alright, so really excited about how this is turning out. It's so cozy, you guys. I mean, I guess that's the idea, a Cozy Memories blanket, but I'm really excited about it. Next up, Exploration Station. Not languishing, but the rows are getting real long, so it's taken a while to finish it. I'm on the second to last section right now, still the Nothing But Knit section. And this is its, oh, wrong side. This is where it is right now. Really excited to have this off the needle soon. I'm about 3/4 of the way through the Nothing But Knit section, and then I have the chevrons. I'm honestly not the biggest fan of the edging on this shawl, so I'm trying to decide whether I actually want to knit that edge or if I want to incorporate something else. I know it would maybe be doing this shawl a disservice, but I really like garter edges, honestly. This one's not as thick as I would want it to be, but I mean, I'm not hating on the idea of a garter edge. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see. But that's what this is looking like right now. Really excited. For all the details about the yarns, I've gone on and on about it on previous episodes, and you can check out the project page, but it's mostly wool and vine yarns. At least the two greens are. I love this. I can't wait to wear this. Once I finish the shawls that I have on the needles right now, beyond gift shawls, I think I'm going to take a little break from shawls just because I have so many and I love the ones I have, but how many shawls can one really use, you know? I mean, who am I kidding? I shouldn't be saying that to a bunch of knitters. I mean, I love shawls and I'm going to wear them. I'm just saying, like, beyond gift shawls, I think I have plenty for myself. So unless I find like a really special pattern, that's what it's going to take for me to keep knitting shawls. I really want to get into garment knitting, garment sewing, etc. And then that's living in my, just because there was a question about it last time, this is my Engelbrett Makes project bag. It's a really great size. It's it's like amazing, super well made for those large projects. I love the hedgehogs on it. And I have my No Regrets pin popped on there. And as far as whips, I think that might be it. I'm not sure. I mean, I have other ones for sure. I still haven't cast on my Woodland Tales mittens. I think I figured out the reason why I haven't. I love this yarn. This is, oh, by the way, Sesame. I couldn't, So many of you, thank you for letting me know what the name of this yarn was. I was having a hard time reading the tag because I thought it was like sesame. What is this? I can't believe it took me so long to figure it out, but it is sesame. And this is Frida Fuchs. Oh, no, someone also told me Frida Fox is how you say that. Frida Fox yarn. And I love this colorway, but the pattern does call for DK weight yarn, and this is definitely not DK, it's fingering weight. I thought I could get away with it because some people said the pattern does run slightly large, and I have small hands on top of that. So I was like, well, maybe I could just knit the larger size. There are two sizes of the Woodland Tails mittens. The larger size with fingering weight yarn. But I'm just nervous because yarn substitution has never gone well for me in the past, and I told myself no more of that. And even though the yarn I've purchased for it is not DK weight, it's definitely a much heavier fingering weight. And I talked with the lovely ladies at Brooklyn General yesterday about this, and so I think the yarn I have picked out now will do the trick. So I'm going to be knitting my mittens in Brooklyn Tweed Loft, and this is the Camper colorway. This color is very much not my usual thing. I'm not exactly sure what it was that really attracted to me with this colorway, but I'm really excited about it. Still loving the idea of this. Camper colorway, Loft. It's, like I said, it's not DK weight, but it's definitely a little bit heavier than the Frida Fox yarn, so I think it's just been holding me back because I'm nervous about having to rip out, you know, a bunch of work. So that's what I'm going to be using for my own mittens. So I haven't even started yet, as you can see, on my project for the Elemental Long, so you have plenty of time to cast on a project if you are interested in doing so. And then the last project that I'll show you today is my Gladys socks. So I love this pattern so much, but this sock, even holding it up to this one, it's a solid few stitches. It's probably 4 stitches bigger than this. It's not actually, but the yarn is so thick. It's Patton's Croy in the flax colorway. The yarn, I've heard people rave about this. I think Kemper from Junk Yarn kind of started a revolution when she explained how much she loves Patton's Croy, and it's really economical, and I like the feel of it too. But the problem for me is that I knit my socks with 56 stitches on 2.25 millimeter, and unless I go down again in stitch count, and I'm already at 56, it's just too much pattern massaging to get this to work for me with this yarn. So unfortunately I am going to be frogging these, but I thought I would just show you what it looked like. I did keep going on a smaller needle size. I knit on 2.25 millimeter US 1, and this is a US 0 2 millimeter needle, and I like the fabric better that it's creating, but the sock is just going to be way too big for me, and I really want to wear these socks. I'm excited about this pattern. It's, like I said, the Gladys sock pattern. It's based off of that, but I did modify it a little bit. I'm not doing texture all the way around, and I reordered. I did something different I'm off the trail right now, trailblazing with this texture. But isn't this so pretty? I love this. I'm really excited to wear these. So I can't continue on with this anymore. So I'm gonna frog it. And look at these stitch markers. Isn't this adorable? This little deer, hedgehog. Love it. And lately, I have to say, I've not been in a mood to cast on a bunch of new projects. I'm really into finishing projects that I've started. So I really want to get back to my heady shawl, especially. So I did buy some yarn yesterday at Brooklyn General. I needed 2 skeins I actually need of this Hayloft colorway. This is Brooklyn Tweed Shelter, but they only had 1 left because the yarn crawl was last weekend, so that really kind of cleared out a bunch of their stock. So I still need to go get 1 more of these to finish the edge of my heady shawl. And Postcard is the colorway I will be knitting the interior portion in. Isn't this so pretty? So yeah, Postcard is gorgeous. I cannot wait. It's like a grayish purplish, but it has flecks of pink tweed in it. And I just think it's going to look lovely with the shelter. I'm super pumped. Yay! So I've not been in a mood to cast on a bunch of stuff lately, you guys. I want to finish stuff that I have. I just want to clear off the needles, get everything done. I'm just in a mood to finish things right now. Although I do have to say I am dying to start a sweater project. I just can't decide which one. I still love the Ondawa sweater by Michelle Wong, so that one's definitely on the list. And I plan on purchasing yarn for that at Rhinebeck. I will be at Rhinebeck, by the way, which I've mentioned before. Please, if you see me, I will be at the podcaster meetup. But if you see me in the wild, as I say, please come say hi. I would love to meet you. I am not scary. I will hug. I'm so thrilled to talk to you guys and meet you. So if you see me, please say hello. I would love to meet you in person. So I'm really excited about Rhinebeck. Feeling a little bit, not overwhelmed, but I've never been to Rhinebeck before. So this is going to be a new experience for me, and I just can't wait. So with that, that's all I'm going to show you today for finished objects, sort of finished, and works in progress. I do have a couple acquisitions beyond the ones I just showed you, and some other things that I want to just show you in general. So yesterday at Brooklyn General, which by the way, I went there with the lovely and amazing talented Eric of the Sticks Plus Twine podcast. He is so fun. We have such a trip hanging out together. He and I have a very similar aesthetic when it comes to pattern choice and color selection, I feel. We are very like-minded in that way. I think it's the kind of the design background that we both come from in our day jobs. So he is just such a fun person to hang out with. If for some reason you haven't seen Sticks Plus Twine, you should just stop watching this and go watch Sticks Plus Twine right now. His podcast is really, really fun. And they're launching Rib magazine soon, which is a men's magazine or men's knitting magazine. Well, I hesitate to call it that. It's patterns for men and for people who want to knit for them. So it's a men's focused magazine. So we went shopping yesterday at Brooklyn General. In addition to Brooklyn General, we went to Woolen, which is a new shop, and also Argyle. So really excited to see that Argyle Yarns now also carries Hedgehog, in addition to being the flagship store for Quince & Co. yarn. But Eric got this for me at Brooklyn General. Look at these tags. Are they not so cute? They're letterpress gift tags for knitted items. So thank you, Eric. And of course the yarn that I've already showed you. I also picked up more of these bulb pins because I use these all the time, and it's like bobby pins. I feel like Sarah of the Make Things Club podcast has said this, that it's just like leaving bobby pins everywhere for girls. I can't find any of them anymore, and I had tons of them, so I needed some more of that. And then another acquisition. So first I'll talk about this book. This isn't an acquisition so much as it's just inspired an acquisition. This book is called Animal Vegetable Miracle by Barbara Kingsolver. If you love food literature, slow down life and culture, what have you, this book is fascinating. It's shameful how long it's taken me to read this. I started this at the beginning of the summer, but sometimes my reading just goes in stages like that, like some months where I will not read a single page, and then other months where I can't stop. Pushing myself to get through this is not the right thing to say, because when I do read it, I read it in very large chunks. It's just that I'm not in a reading season of my life right now. It's just not where my head is. So it's been difficult to motivate myself to read in general. But this book is amazing. Please treat yourself to this. It's fascinating. The things I've learned from it about how I purchase my food, especially produce, it's just, I think about it a lot out in the wild in everyday life. You're going to learn a lot from reading this. So I really highly recommend, again, Animal Vegetable Miracle by Barbara Kingsolver. And she has a whole chapter devoted to cheese making. I had no idea that cheese making could be so easy. It's kind of, one of those processes that seems like it would be really time consuming and expensive. It'd take a lot of, materials. It's not. So she being Barbara Kingsolver, recommends this book in her book. And this is called Home Cheese Making by Ricky Carroll. So I'm gonna give this a try on my never-ending list of things to do. Fortunately for me, kickball season, I play in the Brooklyn Kickball League, is over today. Today is the last day that I have to go play kickball. I love kickball, don't get me wrong, it gets me exercising, gets me out, but it takes up essentially a full weekend day. So now that I'm gonna have my Sundays back, I plan on using my Sundays, to try out and be my experimenting day for this whole list of things I wanna do. Cheese making, bra making, natural dyeing, you name it. There's just tons of stuff I want to try, but my weekends are so eaten up by this hobby. So I'm pumped to give cheese making a try. I mean, really, 30 minutes to make mozzarella. I had no clue. So go grab Animal Vegetable Miracle, and if you're interested in the idea of making cheese, Home Cheese Making by Ricky Carroll. Let's see. And I know I also, in addition to when I rip out my Gladys socks, I want to start reknitting those, but I'm also been looking at this pattern. Ooh, sorry. There's this pattern called Socks for Mr. Bennett's Leisure. I love this pattern so much that I contacted the designer to ask if it was ever going to be released on as a separate pattern sale, because it's previously, up until now, it's just been sold in an Interweave publication. Turns out the pattern is available on the Interweave website, but I should have read the pattern notes of the people who have already knit it, because it's apparently, it's an ill-fitting pattern. It's like 80 stitches or so for the small size, and there's no stretch to it. So I'm not going to knit that sock pattern anymore, but I might try to find a way to make one up myself. So I feel comfortable enough now with sock knitting that I can kind of just like go off the grid and kind of make it my own way. So maybe it'll be my first design. Who knows? Crazy, right? Anyway, this was the yarn I was going to use for that sock pattern, and will be the yarn I probably use for whenever I get around to making my version of it. But this is Sweet Sparrow Yarns in her Secret Garden colorway, and it's the tweed base house wren. Isn't this so pretty? I cannot wait to knit with this. So these are going to be socks soon. Again, I just haven't been feeling all the cast-ons right now. I want to finish the stuff I'm doing first and then fresh new cast-ons. So with that, I think I'll leave you there. I feel like I'm forgetting something. I don't have show notes today because I wanted to get this episode done before I had to leave for kickball. But hopefully anything I miss, I'll just catch up with you next time. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already to see new videos. Again, you can follow me on Instagram as @JacquelineSalem. Oh, and thank you so much to everybody who started following me on my fitness account on Instagram, the Salem Fit Trials. It's just like a side project right now for myself that I want to get better about exercising and eating healthier. So if you want workout selfies and recipe ideas, which I haven't been posting the recipes yet, but I will, you know, all that workout life stuff, then you can follow me over at Salem Fit Trials. But thank you again for your support. And yeah, so subscribe to the channel, like this episode if you liked it, and I will see you over on Ravelry and Instagram. Oh, and at Rhinebeck. Will I have an episode out before Rhinebeck? I'm not sure. Either way, I'll see you at Rhinebeck. Bye! Mwah.
All hot and bothered, you have to